Welcome to Podkast with a K. I am your host, Kristian. Here with me is Steven Laczko, co-host, starring in so far every single episode. And
Greetings.
we are here to talk all the reels.
We're about to talk a lot. Just like a lot of talking, to be honest. Like, we're gonna speak words and we're gonna keep doing that for like an hour.
Yep. About
Something
that
like
much.
that.
Yep.
That's kind of the idea.
Just constant flow of words.
I don't know who came up with a podcast, but they could have they could have come up with a more descriptive name, to be honest.
Yeah, they probably could have. I mean,
It kind
of sounds like something you'd eat. Podcast.
Yeah, it sounds like to me sort of like placing a time capsule in the ocean. So it feels like to me. Like that's if I didn't know what a podcast was, like I might guess that.
I would think you took a movie cast and put them in a pod. And then shipped them to the moon.
Or
the stars. That's typically where stars go. So.
Oh, is that why they're called stars?
Yes, exactly.
Of course. Well, welcome everyone. We're going to be talking about a subject today. That subject is pretty cool. We both like it a lot. I bet you can't guess what it is.
It's
probably impossible for you to guess.
Down there.
It's probably pretty much impossible for you to guess what it is.
What is that?
I'll give you 7 guesses. Okay, you're wrong. It's meditation.
Wow. You didn't even... Okay.
They guessed 7 times. I don't know what
that was quick. Every letter was wrong.
They are quick on their feet, let me tell you. It wasn't chat, it was the voices. But chat, feel free to guess our next topic in the meantime. I think you can do it. I believe in you.
That's a good thing to guess about.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about meditation today.
Let's do it.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. So let's start off with the basics, probably.
And what are the basics?
Good? I feel like the basics are, we hear about meditation. We hear about it. People talk about it occasionally. What is it, though? We have everyone has a kind of a picture in their mind of somebody who's sitting in cross-legged in the lotus position with their eyes closed, maybe chanting, maybe alming. But yeah, like, what is it actually?
That's a good question.
It is, isn't it? Chat, feel free to pipe in. But we have our own thoughts on the matter. Kristian, would you like to say how you see meditation?
Sure. Now, I mean, meditation isn't like a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. And there's like multiple branches or styles of it, so it's not like I can just tell you what it is. But, and each of the different styles kind of serves a different purpose. Like, you've got the breathing, and then that kind of is typically focusing on the breath. You've got other aspects of like thinking about focusing on the body, or just not thinking about thoughts. But it all kind of comes down to being aware of the moment and kind of trying not to be connected to all the thoughts that are swimming around in your head. So it's really good at de-stressing, I think. And just calming, calming down.
Agreed. That's what I have in my notes. I circled peace. I have more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But like peace was like part of my summary.
It's a primary aspect of it, so It's important.
I like that, though. I didn't actually. That's a very integral part of it, though. Like what is it? It's not like, I don't want to call it disowning your thoughts, but it's just like separating your sense of self. It's separating yourself from your thoughts. It's like observing your thoughts instead of perceiving them or analyzing them as I'm thinking these thoughts, you know, because then it's just you and you kind of have no control over it. And it's like, it's your own thoughts, you know, you just kind of got to believe it. But as soon as you kind of take a step back, you go meta and you observe your own thoughts, then you can start to observe a lot of patterns, do a lot of things. I wrote down a couple things for meditation, like what it is. I wrote down 3 sort of categories for it. Okay. These are just the categories that I thought of, but they definitely all have to do with separating your thoughts from yourself, kind of. The first is thoughtlessness. A lot of kinds of meditation, they are cultivating you to be able to just calm your mind and not think for a while. That's peace. That's relaxation. It's like good exercise for your mind too, to like slow down anxiety and stuff. So thoughtlessness, and then focus. There's a lot of meditation practices that focus on focusing. Focus on different things, maybe physical sensations or the sensation of your breath, or specific things in the environment, like a flame on a candle, to focus. And then mental cultivation was the last one I put down, which is stuff like loving kindness meditation, and other like more specific kinds of meditation, where you're actually doing something with your mind. You're thinking specific thoughts, or maybe you're saying a mantra that means a certain thing, you're repeating it, and it's like for a purpose. It is to cultivate a part of your mind. It's like exercise. So meditation is kind of a lot of things, but they all do boil down to calming yourself and separating yourself from your mind in a way that sort of frees you from just being pulled everywhere by every thought. It's a break from all that.
Yeah. It is taking a step back.
Yeah.
Leaving your mind to be something to be observed.
Exactly. So I feel we already touched on why, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we could reiterate.
But
I mean, calm, peace, and
calming, peace,
relieving stress, I think. And then transcending. No.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It's a way to describe it, you know?
Sure.
I mean, like for me, meditation is like a way. Not people see it differently, but for me, meditation is like a way to approach a healthier and healthier mind, and approach like kind of the ideal mind where you're at peace with your circumstances. And once you're kind of at peace and you're not like constantly thrown about by your emotions even, or your thoughts, that's something to touch on. Then my mind says, once you get to the point of having your mind be at peace and resting, then you're able to better move towards things you want to do. Like, it lets you do the things you want more. It lets you love better. It lets you love yourself more. It's like a doorway to things which many see as very healthy. That was a reference. That was a reference to anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so transcendence. There you go. Ascend. Meditate to ascend.
And then don't get disappointed.
Yeah. Whatever that means. Whatever ascension means, do it for that, maybe. There's a lot of reasons to do it, though. You know? It's not just that. Like, why did you first start meditating?
automatic captions. That would be nice. Why did I start? Well, I mean, are you asking when I chose to? Because that wasn't when I started, and so therefore it wasn't why I started
Right.
originally. Um,
True. I'm thinking. So your dad got you to meditate some.
this is
He
true.
wanted you to meditate some.
hmm He was going
Huh.
through a phase of life where he was very fascinated by those kinds of techniques and stuff, and we'd actually gone to like a yoga dojo for kids a couple times, and they had different activities where like the kids would run around and we'd have a race, and then all of a sudden they say stop, and then they'd have us turn around and then do the race again, and the person who was slowest ended up winning. Or like, ah, oh. So it's not about being the best or the fastest. And then they also had us do like a guided meditation where we had our eyes closed, and they had talked about like the waves and stuff, and just had us think about that. Um, I only remember doing that a couple times, so I don't, I can't, I feel like it was like twice, but it could have been more. I don't know. And then
That's interesting.
yeah, and then we, whenever we, not whenever, often when we would go to like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's and get a kids meal, we'd go to like some garden or park, and then before we could play with the toy, we would set it down like a couple feet in front of us, sit in some position that's comfortable, and stare at it for 10 minutes. Just kind of like a focused meditation.
Hmm.
We would also do like laying or sitting in the grass, looking at the horizon or the sky, looking at the clouds. And I think one of the things, like, I would always get itchy from bugs or grass just touching me. And one of the things I kind of learned from my dad is just like, just notice the sensation that you're getting, right? Like the bug landing on you or the grass itch, and just notice it's there and don't deal with it. Like, don't touch it. And so I think I kind of learned a little bit of patience in that, and then like toleration, which was an interesting thing. Um,
I think like that is a very unusual experience for a kid.
yeah.
Um, what do you think of it now,
So
looking back?
sure. Back then, I didn't know what to think. I was just like, all right, this is what we're doing. I was a kid, and I didn't know how to judge it. I was just like, ugh, can we get the toy? Or ugh, I guess we're doing this now. But looking back, I mean, it's very interesting. I th- like I couldn't tell you how much it's affected me, but I guess it's had an effect on me. I mean, of course, there are many other things in my life that has built my patience. But I do find myself looking back to that kind of sensation and being like, oh, I don't need to, like, if something's bugging me immediately with like bugs or itches, I'm just like, I can notice it's there and not deal with it.
Hmm.
Um, so it's affected me kind of directly, I guess. But yeah, I think it was a healthy experience. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For a kid, I think it's helpful.
I didn't know
And
the reasons behind it
right.
at
I'm
that
wondering
time.
about that.
What
Is
about it?
it? Hmm, maybe we're getting into the weeds here.
Sure.
Um,
So how about I jump to last year when I kind of took it up on my own.
yeah. So you took it up on your own.
hmm
Why was that?
So, I mean, we've already talked about Dr. K a little bit, and he kind of reinvigorated some.
He's a streamer on Twitch. He's a psychiatrist who puts out a lot of videos on YouTube that are really good. A lot of them about self care and mental health.
Yes,
Really good.
and he had talked about, so whenever he does a YouTube live stream, or typically when he does a YouTube live stream with people from Twitch or other YouTube platforms, he offers to do a meditation at the end, and kind of with his experience, he knows kind of like how they work from their talk, and his like recommends a specific kind of meditation for that person. And I just thought that's interesting. Um, and in some of those videos, I would just like he do it along with them in the video because it's just easy. It's just you're watching the video. He's like you join along.
Hmm.
Um, and so that kind of reinvigorated that aspect to me. I was like, wow, it's kind of nice to have this peace. And then I started doing it a little bit regularly last year. So this is when COVID was happening. Online classes, so class after class, always home. It's just nice to have a time to just be still.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of started realizing that stress is something that physically manifests in the body, and that
Mm-hmm.
meditation was a good way to relieve that.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of meditation did you do?
Mostly, so then I would pretty much just do like the meditation where you don't think about anything, like just trying to avoid your thoughts, I guess, or notice when they come and then push them away. Just
Okay.
just a
Mm-hmm.
seated meditation, closed eyes, um, in the silence.
Mm-hmm.
So that was last year, and then there was kind of a period of time where I didn't really do it for much. And then
You sort of, yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Go ahead.
I picked it up um, towards the end of the semester, so begin like whatever spring of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it a lot more regularly in the past month or
Mm-hmm.
two. And I've been using the
What has that
Headspace
been?
app
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a
to
lot about it.
kind of keep the focus. It's a really nice app. It's got a nice user experience. But they have a guided meditation every morning, and it has kind of a segment where they kind of talk about something about the mind or the soul, or just how something that's applicable to anybody, and then they go into deep breaths and then thoughts and then or segments of focusing on breath and then allowing for thoughts and then focusing on breath. And it's
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, and it's kind of that format every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So I'm wondering what. Well, given your most recent experience,
mhm.
I kind of want to bring it back around to why meditate. What has your experience been like doing
Sure.
meditation that way?
I think it's nice to dedicate a time to your body and to just not to deal with anything that's kind of built up. Like I said, that physical manifestation of stress, especially in your shoulders, my shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to just it's just a very I mean, you have the peace that comes with it, and then the there's just some sort of air of I'm doing something healthy, and it's becoming a
Mm-hmm.
habit,
Yeah,
and I like that.
I get
Um,
that. Yeah, it's just like it's a matter of like intention. You're intentionally doing something that is good for you.
yeah, and there's
You're
no
doing something
judgment.
kind for yourself.
hmm And there's no judgment in what you're doing. Like
What do
when
you
you
mean?
do like, or it allows you to relieve judgment, I suppose. Like when you're doing something else, you can often compare yourself. Like if you're working out, you can be like, oh, I wasn't able to do 30 push-ups. Like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some sort of bar, and you're like, well, okay, I didn't meet the bar that I met yesterday, so great. And then you
Mm-hmm.
feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
or you could feel bad.
There's a win condition.
Yes, but with
You don't
meditation,
reach it.
there's no win condition. It's just like you've dedicated a period of time, and maybe you don't do the full time, maybe you do extra. It doesn't matter. There's no tally mark. It's like, oh yes, I've done a
There are
hundred
no
minutes of
rules.
meditation. Yes,
Unless you make it,
you could make it, which
you could make it.
was probably not advisable, but
Yeah, it can be hard not to push yourself. Push yourself. Just push yourself in general, which I don't think is a good idea,
sure.
especially not with meditation.
I mean, part of the point of it is that any time, whenever it is, whether or not it's regular or not, is that you've dedicated yourself to the moment, right?
Yeah,
And
for
if
sure.
you miss it in the moment, that's fine. You're doing other things.
Hmm.
And if you miss it one day, you miss it 3 days, so be it. But it's just coming back to that. I've decided to do it in the moment, and that's I don't know. There's something beautiful about that.
I agree. It's Yeah, again, it's about intention. It's like there's something beautiful about meditation in general, in my opinion. That it's just kind of it's pure. So something I wrote down here was why it's such a good start or a way to further self-care, which I think is part of what makes it so beautiful, which is that it's so simple. It is like simple, but like so deep. You can go so deep, and you can learn something every time you do it.
Yep, it's so simple. You don't
you
have to do anything.
you don't.
Right.
And
I mean, you have to keep your body upright, or well, you can do it laying down too. Actually,
you can if you don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
But it's just so simple. You sit down, and you breathe, and like the simplest form is you focus on the sensations of breathing, and that's it. And you let your thoughts just, if they come, you just let them leave. You don't cling on to them. That's all the information you really need. And then you can do that for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and it will benefit you. If you're anything like me, it'll benefit you. I can usually tell the difference between when I've not meditated and when I've meditated for 5 minutes earlier in the day. It's so simple, but it's like the way I think. I kind of want to talk about some of my experiences.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what? How did you start?
Yeah, how did I start? I don't even know if I remember how I started, to be honest.
Did you have any experience? Like, did you have any concept when you were younger?
When I was younger, I always thought it was weird. Yep, I'm pretty sure there was an air of weirdness to it. But there's a part of me that was probably like the cultural sort of part, which is like, that's weird. There's another part of me that was like, seems interesting. And over time, I have anxiety pretty regularly. And I started to think about meditation. I tried it a while ago, a long time ago. I was in a more religious context, which is different, very, very different. And then I sort of tried it again later on, more recently, like past year, like last year probably, a year ago, a little further back than a year ago. Start of COVID, more or less, COVID times. That's when I got into it, and that's when I sat down and just did it for 5 minutes, like once a day. Maybe twice a day if I felt like it, but like 5 minutes. And at first it was hard and it was weird, and I was like figuring out like how to making up like analogies of like how my mind is doing this, and like how to actually like let thoughts go. And it just like I just kept doing it. It didn't always feel good. I want to get to that in a second. But it was good, and I just knew it was good.
Were you chasing something?
At times I was chasing something, especially in a religious context. I was chasing something. There was like a goal I wanted to reach. But I think meditation works best when you do it for its own sake. There's a concept, there's Dr. K, the streamer, talks about karma some in his streams. And he has a very interesting perspective and explanation, kind of definition of karma. The way he describes it is not primarily at all in a spiritual way, but in terms of cause and effect. So usually us Western folks think of karma as you do bad in this life, and when you get reincarnated, you something bad work bad. You come back worse somehow, something like that. It's kind of vague. And it's like, a lot of us don't believe in reincarnation, so it's like, what the heck? Don't know what that means, really. But the way he put it is that karma is all about just, like, broadly applying cause and effect. To the point of, like, it's basically you're planting seeds. So it's like there's a concept of like the you in the present, past you, and future you, right? Kind of thinking in those terms. Well, if past you has planted seeds for future you, eventually those seeds are going to come to fruition in some way. They're going to benefit your life in some way. You might not necessarily know how, but you've planted them so that they'll come to fruition. So meditation is one of those things where you plant seeds in the present for fruit later on. And you're just like you're investing, you're putting little bits of money into your brain stock, into your mind stock. Invest in mind stock. It's a good stock.
It's a good stock.
It's a great.
Put all your money there. Almost.
It's not all bullish, you know. Sometimes it dips, but invest in it. Hodl. We'll ride it to the moon.
Ride the brain to the moon. The mind.
Ride the mind to the moon. Yeah. So meditation is about. I like to think of it as just investing in yourself. Stocks, bruh. Thank you, Asclepius.
Yes. So how did that develop from then to now? Like, what have you done differently? What have you tried?
I've tried a number of things. So first thing I tried was basically breathing meditation, like standard craft brand meditation, or maybe Kirkland brand meditation or whatever. I don't know. Whatever your stock brand is. So it's just breathing in and feeling the sensation of breathing. That's basically what I started with. It wasn't a great start for me. That wasn't the best place for me to start, I found out.
Why is that?
It didn't let me focus on how to fall into like a meditative mindset. That's how I'd say. So what I started doing was I didn't always actually focus on my breathing. I just kind of naturally fell into, it's kind of funny. I had this mental image of basically, when I was breathing, I would imagine like my mind as like this hallway. It's like a square hallway with just like a open front, open back. And like the breath would just kind of flow through and like clean thoughts out. And those sort of mental images sort of progressed. This will not be the same for you, for anyone watching this. Probably not. It could be if you want it to, but I'm just saying it could be very different. Then I start thinking of it as bubbles. Thoughts were bubbles. And basically what I did was like, if I had this thought that I was like struggling to let go of, basically if there was like a bubble around my head that was like keeping the thought in, I'd basically like somehow like turn it inside out. And I'd like put the bubble on the outside of me, and then I'd put it to the side. So there's a lot of like playing with my mind. And I liken it to exercise, basically. I was exercising my mind into learning how to observe itself, observe its own thoughts, and sort of relax.
Interesting.
And then there's a couple other types of meditation I try that I enjoy. Mindfulness meditation, which is how I did it, was basically instead of like focusing on my breath, I'm focusing on every physical sensation I can keep track of. Every physical sensation I can feel at once, as much as I can. And that might sound like kind of overwhelming. It's not, at least not for me. It might be for some people, but it was actually really nice, especially if you're in a nice place. So basically, it kept growing like that. I kept looking into new types, like loving kindness meditation is cool but difficult. I find myself really passionate about meditation because it did a number of things for me. It changed my mindset a lot from just being like my brain, just being my thoughts and all the instability that comes with that, to when I remember to being able to observe my own thoughts and feelings from a non-judgmental point of view, which is super duper, I'm going to say important.
Oh, okay.
It's important.
I thought you were going to say difficult.
It's not only important, it's helpful, it's important. It can be difficult.
Depends. But yes.
Depends.
It's probably,
but
I don't want to make a blanket statement. I was going to say it's
yeah,
probably more difficult for judges or deciders in MBTI, but that could even be false.
yeah. I'm a judger or a decider, and it's not. I don't find that the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that, I guess. But basically, it did a lot of good things for me. I guess I'll get to the interesting part of what I'm saying, which is I tended to. I'm not sure if it's happened really recently, but over the course of many months, like things would occur to me while I was meditating about my own mind and about just feelings and the nature of feelings and thoughts. And I'd have these kind of eureka moments, sort of like just realization moments where it's like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. It's like, it turned thoughts and certain thought patterns and feelings from something overwhelming to something like kind of understandable and observable. And it just kind of progressed me along in my like mental maturity a lot. So there's some reasons.
True. I mean, I think. Patience is one of the things we mentioned earlier. And that's definitely related to mental maturity.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a matter of, in my mind, I don't know if you've experienced it this way. I don't know if you've described it this way, but I keep likening it to exercise. You're exercising your subconscious to see your own mind at a meta level. It's the difference from being like in a forest, stuck in the weeds, stuck in the forest, walking through the woods where there's no one around and your phone is dead, to being a drone higher in the sky and being able to observe the things, just like there's a tree right there. It's a small part of everything else, you know? It makes it digestible. And it's really helpful exercise to do that. If you don't do that, then you're just like, you're not going to be exercising that part of your mind. You might in other ways, but it's just a beautiful way to exercise your mental strength, fortitude, abilities, emotional health, etc. Yeah.
And in that
talked
sense,
a lot. Go ahead.
In that sense, it's we were talking about how how simple it is to do, right? But and in being simple, it's like you don't have to do anything. You're just focusing on your breaths, but it's easier said than done. And because of that, there are kind of incremental changes into how you tackle that, right? Because your focus isn't going to be fully controllable right away. And in that sense, it is a muscle that you're strengthening, which makes it difficult, I would say, or at least not trivial, to keep up or to try to put effort into it in that way, right? Like you have to put the effort into stretching the muscle. You can't have the attitude that you're just doing it to do it, or you're just doing it to tick a box. You have to be intentional about it. Like, if you want to make progress, I think.
I'd say if you're actually doing it, if you are actually, it's like a couple like just key parts is like you're relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't making judgments about your thoughts or anything around you. No judgments. No decisions, you know, commentary. And you're letting your thoughts go. I don't think you can do it wrong.
Right.
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure you can do it wrong.
saying you're doing it wrong. I'm saying you can get. I'm saying you can get caught up in the fact, like, that's not easy to do. To just do that. Your thoughts are going to
Okay.
come in and they're going to ruin it. Or
That, that,
your
that,
they're
I
not
would
going to
argue
ruin
that
it.
it's not ruining anything.
Okay. That's
I,
when I say that, I mean your mind is not in a state in which it can like have the focus that you're trying to have it focus. Like the thoughts
hmm.
aren't ruining it. The thoughts are setting off a chain reaction. Um,
I see what you mean. I think there's things to keep in mind regarding that. Like there is no point during meditation in which you're not losing any battles. You're not failing ever.
mhm.
The mind is made to think. The thinker's gonna think. There's gonna be thoughts there.
Yeah.
No, like it doesn't matter how long you meditate, unless you're like 5, 10 years in, and you can go like 2 minutes without thinking a thought. I'd be impressed. Maybe some monks can do it for a while, but like brains think, and that's not the thing that to fear. That's not a thing to fear. The practice is letting your brain think and then coming back to your focus or coming back to relaxing your mind, coming back to letting the thoughts go. It's not about not thinking, it's about letting them go and coming back to your center point kind of.
Right.
Which is it takes effort. It does. But I just wanted to emphasize that like you're not losing if you're thinking. That's like you're not going to meditate without thinking
Right.
some of the time. A lot of the time even sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I stop you from making a point there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Well, with that, we are coming up on a turn. We're coming up on an exit.
We are.
We are on our way over to a different segment. We're going to take this turn here. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
What? I lost something. Oh, I'm stupid. I do have a final thought I want to share. It's very non-eventful.
Okay.
You had mentioned visualizing thoughts in two different ways, as like a hallway and bubbles, and
Mm.
I've never considered them that way, but I have considered thoughts as like before Tinder was a thing, I had considered thoughts as something that you swipe away if you don't want to think about it. So sometimes I'll like swipe with my eyes and then I'm swiping a thought away. Um, I don't
Ah.
know. That's some sort of internal thing. Oh, welcome. We have a friend. Um,
Welcome, friend.
and then the other thing,
Mm.
you talked about a meditation with feeling all of the sensations.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I did not mention was the Headspace guided meditation has intermittent sections where it's just like notice all the points of contact, like
Mm.
your feet against the floor, your wherever your body's touching itself, wherever your back is, how it's aligned, and just noticing all of those things. It even has you do a scan through the entire body from head to toe,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting too. Um,
It is.
but yeah,
It's a good way to get in touch with your body.
yes.
It's also a good way to notice how greetings, Raura.
Hello.
Got a friend in chat here. It's also a great way to come to know more about your feelings and how they have a physical manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're feeling something and there's an emotion that's troubling you, or even if you're super happy, it could be any emotion really, but you can focus in on the sensation of that emotion, and it's a method of processing that can be a lot easier and a lot less taxing on your mind than just emotionally taking the brunt of it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
have you kind of? We're
Yeah.
gonna just keep going, aren't
Well,
we?
you reminded me of some final thoughts that I had written down that I didn't talk about, that we can
Me
kind of
too.
wrap up with, or just, yeah. Um, so, I mean, meditation is not the solution to all your problems, right?
Hmm.
It is a tool. It is a method that helps in various ways and helps strengthen certain aspects of your mind and your focus and your control and your experience. But there are other things that can also help that maybe meditation cannot solve or can be combined with to just have a more complete solution. And some things that I just wrote down, and we'll probably do more podcasts on the topic of meditation or on these other stress relieving health topics.
Yeah, I'd love
Um,
to.
but
Ayurveda is interesting. I'll say that.
that is true. This is a an Eastern Middle Eastern. Whoops. Oh
It's an
no.
ancient Eastern um, not I wouldn't call it medical, I guess, but a health science. And it's not Western folks are going to hear about it and they're going to think that's BS, that's ridiculous. Um, but I mean, if it's helpful, it's helpful. Yeah, I'll get to Rayor's question in a second. I'd love to.
But what I wanted to say,
Nope, we didn't, Rayor. We did.
I see.
Asked if we had already talked about something. But what were you
Um,
going to say? Finish. Go ahead. I want to
so
hear.
yes. Another thing that is important to do is actually thinking, which is, and dealing with your thoughts, right? And not,
That's not a bad idea.
yeah, like, an idea that something that I've been kind of doing over the past few years is taking walks. Or before COVID, when I would drive to school, it would be the time that I would spend driving, and it would just be like thinking about all the thoughts that are coming into my mind, and then dealing with them, so I know there's like a resolution for each thought, and that way it's
Hmm.
not a hanging loose end that's just something that can stress me out throughout the day. Right? It's just okay. I've dealt with that thought. I can push it away. Don't need to worry about it. And
So these aren't. It doesn't sound like they're actionable thoughts. They're just thoughts.
It could be either. It could be like a worry that comes up that's not really actionable, and it's just like assuring myself that I don't need to be worried because of reasons. Or it could
Mm-hmm.
be something that's like, what am I doing? Like, what have I got going along in the day in front of me? And then itemizing, this is how the day's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, or a reflection on what had happened, if an event had happened. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's something I'd done in drives and have done in walks more often. But recently, I had seen an article that had called this a similar concept worry time, like dedicating a specific hour or 15 minutes to
Mm.
just getting all of your worries out. And it doesn't literally have to be worries; it could just be the thoughts that are coming up, and then dealing with those in a set aside time can allow you to fall asleep quicker because you don't have those thoughts emerging while you're going to bed,
Right. Right.
or when you're tempted to worry earlier in the day, you can just be like, I'll worry about it at worry time. Don't I can push it off till then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of another way of taking care of those thoughts in your mind.
It's a very interesting concept,
Hmm.
and I find it extra interesting because it like for me to apply it to myself, um, it would have to be different,
Hmm.
which I think it makes sense. But it reminds me of Ayurveda, which I hope we talk about in a future episode, um, where people are different. And so one solution is not going to fit all. People have different solutions to their problems, to many different problems in their lives. Different types of people can have different ways of handling what they're going through. But yeah, I really like what you're putting out there. That's a helpful concept. I've thought about that too. Just sitting down and like somewhere where you can calm your thoughts a little bit, focus. Hopefully it's a peaceful location that helps me. And just thinking about certain things, thinking about some deeper questions, something that's going to be productive, or dealing with those hanging thoughts. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'd like to... Rayora asked a quick question here. How do you feel about the concept of chakras? He asks me specifically.
He did.
You seem to have a wealth of knowledge on the topic. I have a wealth of... Not a wealth. I wouldn't call it a wealth. I have some knowledge on...
A small investment.
Certain aspects of like Eastern health science stuff. I'm a baby. I'm learning. But how do I feel about the concept? That's a question I can answer. I think I'm going to look into it for sure. I think there's too much history behind chakras to dismiss it as useless. In fact, like I bet I could get a lot out of it. I bet a lot of people could get a lot out of it. There might be a lot of truth to it. So I'm actually going to look into that myself. I know chakras, like loving kindness meditation is sort of related to chakras. It's related to your heart chakra, which is here. Surprise. And it's about like cultivating like a warm, like a literal, physically warm feeling of like love, or loving kindness is the word. Metta. It's the other language word. So yeah, maybe once I look into it more, maybe we can talk about that sometime too.
Yeah, we can do that.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Please feel free to ask questions, chat. Continue. Rayora says here, gotcha, that makes sense. It just sounded like what Kristian was talking about earlier when you meditate and you focus on different body parts. You know, I bet that is definitely used for chakra stuff, because there's specific points where your chakras are, according to the teachings.
Isn't there different yoga positions or routines that focus or work on different... I don't know.
It's pretty interesting because everyone has heard of yoga. A lot fewer people have heard of Ayurveda. Well, everyone's heard of yoga. Most people have heard of chakras. And even fewer people have heard of Ayurveda, but they're literally all bundled together. They're all very connected. Chakras maybe less. I haven't heard as much about them looking up Ayurveda. But they're very related to yoga, so it's an interesting whole pool to search through, wealth of knowledge to look into that we just don't get here in the West. People don't talk about this stuff very often, but it can be really helpful. So,
yes.
I'm gonna take this left turn. Can I take this left turn here?
Yes, you can take the left turn. Whoa, you turned so fast. Look where you ended up.
Oh my. Wow. We're here. This is amazing. What is this place?
I don't know. This place is... Oh, well, now it's going to be my settings. Can I...
Oh my gosh, there's settings in the sky.
Whoa.
The clouds.
How do I freaking... I was going to add a background. Apparently I don't know how... There we go.
It's the dots.
There we go. What background should I have?
You should have every background.
This is adorable. Oh.
Oh god. Oh no, it's Comic Sans. They're telling us to get a move on.
quick.
We're good. We'll start. Don't worry about it.
We gotta go
Chill.
to the city.
Chill. We're good. Dude, seriously.
It's so fuzzy. The background's so fuzzy.
Okay. All right. I think I'm safe. I mean, we're always safe with Comic Sans around. They're a sponsor for today, by the way, and always.
Yes,
Comic
always.
Sans. Shout out, as always. Shout out to Comic Sans. They are our benefactors now and forever.
I am a ghost.
You are a little bit.
Welcome.
You know, I've always thought you were a ghost.
Welcome. I'm Khost. Ghost
This
with
just-
a K.
This just proves it to me that you are a ghost.
You don't normally see me like this, but I do have socks. I just needed to let you know.
They're gone! I'm out.
I don't have socks. It's a nightmare.
He doesn't have socks, guys. This is so wrong.
I swear I have socks. I'm
This
just a
is
ghost.
so wrong.
I'm just a ghost.
Ghosts can wear socks too, you know. Look at that! Oh my gosh. We should not be streaming this.
It's dangerous.
Kristian,
I'm telling
this is
you,
bad.
whatever curse has come upon me has made me.
Oh my god.
My
You can't
head's
even say it.
disappearing.
He's disappearing. Kristian, listen to me.
You're gonna lose me before they're gonna get me.
Kristian,
They're gonna
listen
get
to me.
I'm listening.
They're not. Listen, the big CS is not going to erase you just yet. Our contract has not ended.
Okay.
It's not happening.
What do I have to do?
Okay? Okay, here's what you have to do. Get some bath salts. Find somewhere in the city.
Will this work?
That'll work.
There's salts in here, right?
No, yeah, bath salts are made from Red Bull.
Right.
That's perfect.
It's even Comic Sans.
Actually, it's kind of backwards. Red Bull is made with bath salts. Anyway, so I'm going to need
105 of them.
to absorb that into your ghostly body in any way you can think of.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that was fast. Are you okay? That's a lot of bath salts.
It was 105
to
of them.
ingest all at once. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was way too fast, to be honest. Yeah, you're gonna have to find a broom and probably a trash bag to throw up in. You're going to need a broom to sweep yourself into a box, into a box. Collect all the pieces that are falling off of you, and you're going to have to light them on fire.
Vacuum instead of broom?
That'll work.
There's bristles on there.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's even better, actually. Yeah, so definitely collect everything that you can find of yourself. Put them all in one place. If you can't light something on fire right now, then you can sing to it sweetly and make it feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And that will accomplish the same purpose.
Edelweiss, Comic Sans is waiting for you. I think that was soft.
Are you feeling better?
Oh,
You don't look better. It's not enough, dude. It's not enough. Oh my gosh.
No. Oh man.
Listen. Oh god. Oh my gosh. Listen. Hey, we're just doing our podcast. We're using every resource you wanted us to. We are plugging you. We have plugged you many times during this podcast. You gotta we gotta give us some space. Like, the creative process is, it doesn't work well under pressure. We are not using bath salts. We aren't. We are not using bath salts. We never have. We are simply demonstrating the effects of Kristian's cloaking device. He's working on it. It's working very well. We are going to sell it to the military. Okay, he's got. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was close.
That was close.
Kristian,
Yeah.
you need to. You're gonna have to sing hardcore. You have to sing hardcore to get yourself back. There's literally no other way I can think of. All I can do is try to send some of the Comic Sans juice that they have been sending me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Did you run out?
Yes.
That's why you're disappearing, dude.
Oh, here.
There are benefactors. You can't run out of the juice or else you just disappear from reality.
I know the song that generates the juice.
All right. Okay, good.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Hurry.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Hurry up before you disappear, dude. Am I starting to disappear?
I'm going to lose my...
Am I starting to disappear?
You
not,
look,
right?
You look mostly okay. I think
I'm
you're
here.
a couple days behind.
Okay, good.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah, do it, man. I'm starting to feel woozy. I think I'm disappearing too. You are phasing out of reality as we speak.
Lorem ipsum dole sit amat.
Oh.
Consectator adipissing elit. Sed do iesmod tempor incident labora et dolor magna aliqua temporo commado ulla compora alachus vestibulum sedaco.
Not solid. You're not solid yet. Keep going.
Nibbe. Vene natis ras sed filis eget felit alegret. Non sodales neque.
Sed ut per spis satis und omnis is natus. Error sit voluptatem accusatem dolorem laudatium. Yes!
Oh. Wow. Okay. That juice was good.
That was some good juice. Oh my god.
I told you this whole time.
You're right. I should have trusted you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You did. It was just the bad juice.
Chat is accepting this at face value, as they should.
Look. Mistakes
It is
were
what
made.
it is. Mistakes were made. Mistakes. Whoa! Wait! No!
Whoa!
Not like big mistakes. Like small mistakes. Like we didn't. We could have started the podcast with more energy, kind of thing. It's like it's not a big deal. You don't have it. You don't have the salt. Okay. Yeah, we're just chilling here. Okay. What? Yes, we used the juice. We summoned the juice. Is that a problem? That's in our contract. We had 2 extra juices to summon. Chill out. I'm not trying to jip you here. How much juice do you have? You probably have an endless amount of juice.
He's the one who deals with the lawyers.
Oh, okay. Listen. Do you want some juice back? We'll give you some juice back, all right?
He's not professional. We have a professional, but sometimes he's not around.
We'll just say it backwards, and I'll give you some juice back, all right? Right now. Here you go. Muintasaku metat alav tis rore sutan. Is that enough? Is that enough? Okay. Fine. And
like
here's my physical manifestation of my juice. You want this too? Fine. Take it. Jeez. Dude. Can we finish the podcast? Can we? Kristian, tell him how important this podcast is.
What is he saying?
Oh my gosh. He's saying that we should just stop the podcast now so we can talk to the higher-ups. Like, that's a waste of time right now.
We've got to tell him. We've got products to sell. Okay?
Listen, man. Did you hear that? You heard that. Of course. You can hear everything. We do. We have many products to sell. We are going to sell out, I'm telling you. Number 1 is this right here. You see that? That is a crystal formed in the heart of Kristian's bones.
It was made from kneecaps.
We bought him some new bones using the money generated from this podcast, and we've generated some crystals that we're going to sell so other people can experience the glory of Comic Sans, right? Right?
The glory
right,
of
chat?
Comic Sans.
Right, chat? Right.
Right.
Are we good? We will talk later. We will. I know. In fact, no need to threaten. No need to... Jeez, no need to just spit insults. Oh my... Are we good? Okay.
Okay.
Just disappears. It doesn't even say bye. It's just like, she's gone.
It's rough.
It is.
They come when they want to.
They do. They come when they want to. You know, like, but we love them. We love them. They're a great benefactor. They really are. We wouldn't be here without them in any way. So, thank you, Comic Sans. Good stuff.
You can see their display below.
You can see it right there. All right, that was stressful. You know, sometimes when you're running a podcast, guys, if you ever run a podcast, you got sponsors that, you know, nothing wrong with Comic Sans, but they're breathing down your neck a little bit.
Hold on. Hold the thought. Catch it. Just observe it. Realize chat should not hear it. Swallow it, and then we're good. Okay. Because that's not part of the lore that they need to hear, remember? We're going to erase this section from the video. And,
yeah, sounds good. And do you have the Mind Eraser Frog?
Yeah, we're sending them out.
Okay, good. They're going to need new batteries, though. They're all dead, I think.
Okay. So. They take the ones that are made from bee hearts and souls?
Yeah, the AAAs.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, as we careen down the highway, avoiding pots, pans, tables, butter that will make us slip out and die.
Bananas.
We come upon our last exit.
Oh, for goodness, Steven, you're driving so fast. Where are we now?
I think we did an aerial. We're in space.
Whoa.
That might have been a glitch. I think we just no-clipped out of reality.
It's very blurry.
It's very blank. Feels like I'm swimming through Red Bull.
I think I'm closer to reality than you.
Whoa, you can almost touch it. I can't even see it. There's nothing there.
Whoa.
Is that what I think it is?
What?
Oh my god. Oh, it's a cowboy hat.
Whoa.
I wasn't sure. But now I'm sure.
You're sure?
I'm sure it's a cowboy hat.
You sure are sure.
And now I know. Now I know that we can be safe here. Kristian.
Steven?
I don't know how safe you are if you're closer to reality. But
Take
I'm
my
pretty
hand.
sure.
Pull me closer.
Okay. Give me your hand. Okay. Oh my gosh. You're here, Kristian.
Whoa.
Do you
Steven?
feel it?
I feel it.
Or do you not feel it? Is more accurate. The lack of Comic Sans presence.
Is this a safe space?
Kristian, they're not here.
How do you know?
I feel it. At all times, I feel a tingling, and almost as if water is running underneath my skin at all times. But now it's gone. I feel like I have normal skin again. We can
Wait, you removed the water from your skin?
do anything. No.
Oh.
The sensation of Comic Sans watching.
Right, because they put the nanoparticles in us.
Exactly. It's like water underneath your skin, but I feel nothing. I feel nothing.
They don't have the channel for this dimension.
Oh my gosh.
They haven't signaled it yet. We came here first.
They didn't find this one yet?
No. They're still scanning.
Chat, make note of this place. Make sure we can find this again. Write down everything you can tell about it. Name it. If you want to, name it.
But don't tell
so we
anyone.
can come back here. Don't tell a soul. Don't even think it.
They could already have put the nanobots in you, and you could be in a dimension that they can sense.
Don't even think it. Do not let the thoughts enter your mind. Period. It's good practice. Kristian, this could be our way out.
Maybe. We're gonna have to do some construction. We're gonna have to build something bigger because we're not. What they're gonna be looking for us, and
it's true. We're gonna have to keep them out. I don't know. It's only a matter of time before they find this place.
I mean, they already have 4,000 dimensions locked, and like 50 billion that are they have access to. This is the first one we found that they haven't even touched.
Is this what they're all?
This is like This is before they added any of the files, any of the directories. It's just this is the blank space, right? When you find a new space, it's like this, and then they add all of the things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this what all dimensions start out as?
I think so. It's all in classified files. It's really hard to read up on.
We could build our own.
We could. We could do it on as like a side job. We could
side hustle.
Cover each other's backs when we're not around in the dimensions they know about.
Yeah.
Try to convince them that there's a glitch in their system that for some reason our nanobots are not detecting us.
I think so.
We're going to need to remove our eyeballs, or at least replace them with ones that we've created in this dimension so that it does not transmit. That's what we should do before we go back.
Okay.
Create new eyeballs so that they cannot get this feed of information when they get back connection.
That'd be really good. We should make them hot swappable too.
Yes, definitely.
That'd be really helpful. Okay. Good plan. Guys, this is the new frontier.
Yes, this is a new frontier. We are going to own our own channel.
We're going to own our own channel.
Unfortunately, we're also going to have to delete this segment from
everything.
The recording and everything.
Including you.
Including you. We're going to have to embed it within your thoughts as if it wasn't...
It'll be encoded.
Yeah. You'll have... like deja vu, but you won't remember any of this, and then that's how we'll build our army. People won't know that they're fighting for us. They'll just feel like they have to.
But this is consensual, of course.
Yes, because you're consenting right now.
Yep. That's how it works.
There's a contract.
There's a contract. It was when you type in chat, you've signed it. Your name is all over chat, after all.
Yeah.
And the contract is you remember the address of our dimension, so thank you. Well, this will be a great place to build. We'll get started. Hopefully next podcast.
That would be awesome. In the meantime, our eyeballs are cooking, so we...
Yeah, they're kind of burning. Listen, Asclepius, listen. It's already been encoded in your mind. It's too late. Unless you want a mind eraser frog sent to your front door.
It's already coming.
It's what? Don't tell him that.
Comic Sans did it.
Kristian, we could be the next Comic Sans, or do you understand what I'm saying here?
I got you.
It's been a monopoly for infinity. We could finally make a change.
That's the plan. We've got to do this.
Asclepius likes frogs. We may have to change the plan slightly in retrospect, knowing that.
We can't change Comic Sans' methods, but we can come up with our own that are different.
True, it's a good idea.
He does ribbit. That's how he removes
He will,
memory.
100% he's going to ribbit.
It's like a rhythmic ribbit that vibrates the manifolds in your brain and finds the ones that have Comic Sans embedded in them and then smooshes them.
Kristian, we better go back. You are disappearing fast.
It's okay. We can create our own juice.
You're like in and out, so... Exactly. So, we better head back so we can get back to the source of our juice until we can get our own juice.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I disappeared. We both disappeared.
Where am I? Where am I?
You went... Whoa.
Oh, now I'm back.
Oh. Hold on a second.
It was weird. It was like there were belts here or something. But...
Oh. Hello.
Whoa, careful there.
Ah, yes. I'll just take a
He's
nap
gone.
real quick.
Kristian, you're disappearing again. Be careful.
Hi, I'm still alive.
Good.
I think they reset the spaceship.
The spaceship?
Yeah, don't worry.
Is there something you're not telling me?
What?
What?
No, there's nothing to see here. Okay. I think that is the real talk with a lowercase r, and we are about to move on to the next segment of the podcast.
Which is? What is your
apostrophe or not, my friend?
Apostrophe or not, we're here.
We've made it. It's totally legible.
Clearly. Obviously.
Yes.
I'm like minute back.
Don't worry.
It's very legible.
Yes.
But that's just the writing in one of our worlds.
True. We can read this very easily.
Mm-hmm. This says, man, I'm tired. You should, what is that? Excavate? Is that excavate? Excavate. My jorts. Oh, wow. That's...
I think you missed one. I think you missed one of those.
That definitely says excavate my jorts. Yeah, I'm not misreading that.
I'm pretty sure.
Does that mean something else? It says excavate my jorts.
I think it's elevate.
Elevate my jorts.
Yeah.
Oh. So this means jorts are dropping a little, that's all.
Yeah.
I see. There was a kitty.
You don't want to excavate them. That would just be a mess.
It certainly would. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Knowing the following worlds that we're about to tell you all about.
They will knock your jorts down, and then you will have to elevate them. It's clear as day. I don't know.
You're right. No, it couldn't be more clear.
It's been a while since we've done this, so I don't know who started explaining worlds last.
I don't either. Kristian, pick um, pick
Here, I've
a
got it. I've
number
got it.
between 1 and 10.
Really? I was gonna say pick a hand.
Oh, okay. You're not going to know which one I'm pointing to. I could say your left or right hand.
This is my left.
Okay. I pick your right hand.
Oh, sorry. I'll be fair.
You totally... Did you switch that?
No.
Oh, delete. What does that mean?
Well, you didn't escape, so you deleted. That means you go.
You didn't decide what they meant.
No, I decided that escape meant you escaped from the situation.
Oh. I'm not running away from my world. My world is beautiful.
Yeah, you're going first. Steven! Why are you deleting me? What is your world?
Kristian, my world is one in which...
In which?
You've played video games before.
I have.
Have you ever run into the situation... Yes, you're Jorts, Ryora. Yes, you're Jorts. Have you ever run into the situation where you have no clipped out of bounds and you're looking around in outside the map and it's like the world is like copying itself an infinite number of times as you look around, and it's like the colors are just like at your face, and it's like getting bright and crazy?
About 80% of that, yeah.
Okay. Basically, in order to explain my world, I have to explain how that works.
Okay.
When you're looking around in a video game, it's painting a frame on your screen many times a second. When you look out of bounds, because the out of bounds doesn't have anything to paint in certain areas, it doesn't paint anything. So basically, if you have like a box on your screen and the rest of it's just nothingness, if you turn your camera, that box is not going to be like deleted off your screen, even though you turned your camera, because it's already painted on there and nothing's painting over it. Therefore, the box gets like dragged and smeared across your screen. Things are getting just overridden. The whole screen gets overridden by everything else. That is the best analogy I can think of for my world.
It's like when Windows freezes and then you drag it and it's like... Wee.
Precisely. Things get smushed around and things get like... You drag something and it like cuts one window in half with the other. Stuff like that. Basically, when you walk around my world, luckily, there is a solid plane under your feet. Other than that, every time you walk through a door, there's no touching a doorknob. Your arms and limbs phase through the wood. You have to just, on trust, shove your face through the solid surface. And when you look back, that section of you, that section that you cut out, has an imprint of your body as it traveled through the door embedded in it. There's no more wood. It's just like organs and skin all phasing on top of each other and clipping through each other. Basically, you can't touch things in this world without some very careful consideration. So as you walk around, you say I meet up with you in this world, right? And I say, "Yo, Kristian, how's it going?" And I put my hand up for a high five, and we lose just for a second our focus. And we give in to our desires for a high five. We go like this. Our hands are now a conglomeration of both of our hands melded into each other. Completely unusable appendages.
Uh-oh.
It's a problem. So, now, in this world, of course, people have discovered ways to fix some of these problems. For instance, they have an archetypal hand. It is the community hand. You go to the center of town, and you pass your screwed up hand through it, and it imprints a new hand onto your hand.
Whoa.
Using some very clever quantum entanglement methods devised by Google using their diamond processor, I believe it's called. They're able to form a hand that cannot be overridden, but can override.
Is it
So you
quantum
pass your hand through
detanglement?
it. It is quantum entanglement. It
Detanglement
allows
or
it.
entanglement?
So the problem is that everything gets entangled when it passes through each other. So when it collides with the hand, it starts to entangle all the molecules, all the atoms together. But because of the special considerations that Google has made, it does a quick calculation, unentangles the particles, and only in the community hand. So your hand gets entangled and becomes the new hand. It becomes a copy. These atoms are copied from the archetypal hand. And you are now actually entangled with that hand's atoms. So a lot of people here, especially as you get older, as you look at the old aging population, their hands are all actually entangled together. Actually, everyone feels the same things that everyone else feels because of that. So for the things that you can feel, and a lot of work is required to create substances you can touch without entangling. Those sensations are actually shared amongst the entire village, each village that survives in this world. Google has separated all of humanity into small villages to make it easier to manage what they need to manage in order to have everyone survive and not shove their face through a door that's going to overwrite their head, for instance. That would be bad. So there's a lot of ground rules in this world. You don't hit your head on anything that you're not absolutely sure has been treated for full disentanglement, or at least fourth word entanglement, which means you would override that thing instead of it overriding you. It's a very dangerous situation. So a lot of people have these glasses that they put on that look a little bit like this, that actually allow you to visually see an outline around objects that are disentangled fully, meaning you can actually touch them. Fourth entangled, which means you will overwrite it, or back-tangled, which means it will overwrite you. They usually call it BT, B for short, and like all the B, they just call it B, all the Bs. They usually put all those in faraway places where all they need is like blocking sunlight. It's like occasionally they'll use it to like store things that you don't want like getting too hot, stuff like that. But again, that's very dangerous. The problem is that disentangling things and fourth tangling things takes a lot of energy, and it takes a good amount of time. Google has successfully basically taken over the earth, but not out of necessarily malevolence, but out of necessity. All the quantum sort of companies that are coming up with quantum computers now, in this alternate dimension, in this alternate timeline, this world, have all conglomerated into a Google God company that owns the world and makes sure everyone can actually survive in it because of the technology they've created. It's virtually the only way you can live there, by relying on Google Glass. They rebranded Google Glass, and Google accessories. Phones, the outside is disentangled. The inside is not. So it's completely dead illegal to open up your phone in any way. So there's no removable batteries in this universe, which is really sad. That's one of my least favorite parts about this alternate dimension whenever I visit, is that none of the phones have removable batteries. And I think that's just, like, the fact that they need to have that, like, okay, but, like, it just reminds me of how there are non-removable phone batteries in this world, and it pisses me off just due to PTSD. So that's my world.
That's a crazy world. You gonna listen to me? There we go.
You came back to us.
I'm back.
That's my world. Got any questions, guys?
The world's sus.
My world's pretty sussy.
Those are the statements that are being made.
What a sussy baka, Asclepius says. Thank you, Asclepius, for your commentary. It's a very sussy, baka-esque dimension. Ryora is fantasizing about living in a Google-only world. You're right. Google only. Only.
Rip.
That's not the question. That's not, why are you such a sussy baka? That's not the kind of question I was looking for, but I will accept it. Why?
I mean, clearly you're sussy baka because your hands have been entangled.
Probably true. Actually, my whole body was entangled at one point because somebody built an archetypal Among Us character, and I tripped. Somebody tripped me. I fell right into it, and that was rough. Asclepius. Fascinating question. How do people do the deed together? That kind of the deed together. Someone has to ask. It's an important question. It's true. How else is the species going to survive? There's no other way other than, well, I guess there are ways, I suppose, sort of. How a laborious disentanglement process on both sides that is temporary. It is an unfortunate temporary characteristic. Alternatively, there are certain coverings that are disentangled, pre-disentangled. That works just fine. Moving on. That's enough questions for my world.
You don't want more?
No, I'm good, man.
Okay,
I'm satisfied.
Be satisfied.
Opposite of parched. Quenched. I am quenched. My thirst has been quenched. I have a question of my own, actually.
You do? I didn't think you would.
Do. Yeah, I thought about it at the very beginning. Asclepius has more. Asclepius, you gotta save some of those for Kristian's world here, because Kristian, I want to know. Here's my question. What is your world? What is it?
I've got no idea, my friend.
What world is it? You don't know?
Well, the reason I don't know is because there are no ideas in this world. Only answers. There's no ideas. Everything is physically manifested. You can't think. There's no such thing as a concept. Only a physical existence. Which makes it hard to describe. Because you can't return from this world. You have to be of this world in order to experience it. And then you can't describe it to anyone else. But I'll do my best to give you an analogy or a description to give you a sense of what it's like.
Okay.
But this world, being without ideas, moves forward at a very slow rate. It's like a tar, a muck. Everything is there, and it doesn't rearrange itself. It just exists in its place. And the beings of this world, it's hard to tell if you can call them beings because they don't have ideas. But they kind of think in a non-idea way. And the way they do that is purely through communication. And these beings look like, well, I guess I would describe them as eyeballs in tar. And they exist in this very rigid world. And they look at each other. And that's how they communicate. But because time allows for ideas and concepts, there is no concept of time. So there's only the concept. There's not even a concept. There's only the reality of whether or not an eyeball is looking at you. And if an eyeball is looking at you, then you exist. So these beings, these tar creatures, must always be looking at each other to keep their existence going forward. And there is no forward. They just keep their existence in place. And they kind of become these monoliths, and new eyes appear whenever something is not being looked at. So it kind of brings this complicated interaction. They aren't able to understand it, they're only able to observe it because, again, they can't have ideas. But they do have theories that are purely physical. And those theories can only be communicated with their eye movements. These pillars of tar look at each other in patterns, and they've developed a kind of symbiotic pattern relationship with one another, such that they can communicate what some people might consider ideas, but in a physical representation. And that would just be, how many eyes am I looking at? But that's hard to count, because counting is, again, ideas. So,
Right.
yes, I mean, it's really hard to describe.
It sounds like there are no thoughts.
There aren't thoughts. They just
Mm.
exist, and they perceive, and they signal. It's almost like a chain reaction is constantly going, but they cannot be self-aware is the issue.
Right.
But what's interesting is when you bring a being that is not from this universe, this world, to this world, they act in a totally different way. But it's impossible to tell that they do, because the only way to observe them is to put a being that is not from the world in that world. And of course they're going to look at it. So basically, we can't answer any questions about how they live their lives without the presence of some sort of observer that has ideas. Which makes us wonder whether or not our ideas become their ideas. This is kind of how we've determined that they don't have ideas on their own. It's kind of the, if the tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound kind of an issue. We can't really check to see if they're ideas when we're not present. It's also foreign to us to not have ideas, because we are ideated creatures. So, yeah, these objects, they don't have a lot of things that we have. We're trying to understand exactly what they have that we don't have. For example, we've done experiments where we have people just sit in a lab and look at each other and see if they can understand anything. It didn't work even with the brain dead people. So we were trying to see if there was a linkage in that kind of connection. So even putting cameras by them, they weren't able to do anything different. It's just like adding a new eyeball to the equation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look at it and then it becomes an eyeball. It's kind of freaky.
Oh.
Yeah. Because
So objects become eyeballs.
we've sent people there, and then these beings don't look at them, and then they disappear. And we count the eyeballs every time we go in, and there are more. So we only have that conclusion.
Well,
It's, yeah. The only reason we know this is because we found an object that they will have to look at.
oh.
Because, well, it's interesting because they actually can't close their eyes because there's just eyeballs floating in tar from our perspective. So they have to look in a direction. And when you have light, they look away from it. So what we do is we bring darkness.
Oh.
And they are attracted to that stuff like the plague. So we, again, reverse metaphors because these guys are weird. They will
mm,
look
mm.
into dark matter when we bring it into this world, because they don't know what dark matter is, right? All they know is them. Um, all they experience is them, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So we bring this dark matter in, and they just keep looking at it like it's the only thing they desire, if desires is something this creature can do.
So do all of the eyes look at them?
Yes. Every
All of the
single
eyes.
eye that is capable of looking at the dark matter looks at it.
So does that end up killing some of them off?
We we thought about this, and it it it, we thought that it would when we brought some dark matter in, when we discovered that they look at them, but they have a safety mechanism that requires an eye to be looking at an eye. Um, which is weird, because if you try to cover up an eye completely so it cannot be looked at, another eye manifests in a position that it can look at it. It's almost like
Mm,
a self-completing system.
see.
Maybe we should call it a system and not a being. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, we've been trying to communicate with this world, which is a creature and a being, um, for years now, and have found only that information. Uh, we suspect we won't find anything else, but we're just paying the government more, or giving the government more reasons to research it.
I
Because
see.
manifesting eyeballs is very fun.
Very much so. Asclepius asks, are they attracted to the dark or repelled by the light?
Ah, I think it's both. They don't like to be
Mm-hmm.
blinded, so they don't like the light.
Makes sense.
Um, and they like the dark because it's fascinating to them.
Mm,
Because they've never seen it before, right? Like, it doesn't remember.
right.
So every time we show it, it's like it's experiencing it over again. Like, kind of like a dog. I mean, dogs typically remember, suppose,
Yeah.
after a while. Um,
Ryoris says this feels like SCP-173 but with tar eyeballs. Oh, I see, because staring at it. Yeah.
oh, I see, yes. It kind of, I suppose it's in a similar vein.
So how have you been able to even witness this world? Like, how have you even been able to see the eyeballs at all?
So somehow this world is connected to all worlds. Um, the eyeballs, some of the eyeballs are really big, right? And they're big enough that you can walk through. And it's a matter of finding the the location in your world or universe, um, where that eyeball originates. We kind of suspect that this system is the connection between the worlds and
Whoa.
the multiverse.
And the gates are like through the eyeballs, like through the
Yes,
pupils.
through the large eyeballs. We haven't been able to do any experiments as to whether or not, the eyeball size uh, scales like in a non-Euclidean way with your world. So if we could enter an large eyeball and exit a small eyeball, um,
Hmm.
we don't really know. But
Right.
that is something that we're exploring.
Are there so you enter an eye, you end up in just some location in a world.
Yes,
Right.
in the
Okay.
world of eyeballs. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. You enter an eyeball, a different eyeball. You do
And
end
it
up in
you
another
end up
world.
in another world. Right.
And
Um,
we were able to create one, conclusion from this, actually,
mhm.
and that is, whenever a person, whenever an object is not looked at in this world and becomes an eyeball, that is a new world, that is created from this podcast.
Okay. From
So
this podcast.
yes.
What do you mean from this podcast?
Oh, you weren't supposed to know that. It creates a world from different people who have different ideas for worlds.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right. Yes.
people just come up with an idea for a world, and then when an eyeball is not looking at a person, it creates a new eyeball, creates a new world. Direct correlation between worlds thought and worlds eyeballs produced.
which is also correlated with the eyeballs happening to look away from something.
Yes.
They turn a blind eye to our podcast, which apparently creates worlds. I'm kind of confused about that, but he doesn't want to talk about that.
It's just conservation of eyeballs and matter. It's correlated. Matter disappears, eyeballs are created, worlds are created, ideas are created. It's all for the sake of matter.
Whoa.
It matters, baby.
So, are there universes in the small eyes?
Yes. We have not been able to send anything in and back. We suspect that eyeballs that cannot be entered are not at the stage of development that the world can be traversed to.
Ooh.
Yes.
So, only the worlds where it's actually possible to traverse are worlds where you are like allowed to enter.
They're ready.
So I feel like there's like an element of maybe not like consciousness, but like a certain amount of intelligence to the system.
Yes, it's almost like it becomes stable. When the eyeball is too small, it hasn't grown enough, it's not stable enough to be entered.
Right. Asclepius asks, are you an eyeball conservationist?
Am I an eyeball conservationist? Well, none of the eyeballs can disappear, as we discovered. So maybe I'm pro eyeball. As long as we have more eyeballs being created, we have nothing to worry about. Because we always have a new place to go. Right. Eventually, when it matures.
Mm-hmm. Chat, feel free to ask any more questions, please, about Kristian's world here. I did have one question here. What about these bad boys?
Those ones?
Yeah.
Oh, those ones. Yeah, well, those ones aren't from the this multiverse portal. Those ones belong in the world that they came from.
My question is, do they have worlds in them?
Oh, they do. They have 2 worlds in them, in fact. We call them the left and right hemisphere, and one of them is more creative than the other. And that is why when the eyeball gets a chance to not look at a human, they can create 2 new worlds. And they're very interesting.
So when humans get deleted and turned into an eye, they can turn into 2 eyes.
They can, yes.
And create 2 different worlds. Yeah, this is some SCP shit. No, this is a real world we're talking about here. Not that SCP isn't real, but this is a...
You want to get real meta?
Yes.
One of the eyeballs takes you to a world that is the world that I'm describing, but it's not the same one.
What does that mean?
Don't think about it too hard. It means that there's a multiverse of multiverses. You can find infinite combinations of this world within itself.
Whoa. Asclepius asks, what happens when an animal is sacrificed to our eyeball overlords? It's a good question.
That is a good question. If the animal's too cute, then the eyeballs will look at it and adore it. If it's an ugly animal, it will not, and then we'll have 1 or 2 worlds, depending on how it wants to use the potential energy there. So it does judge things, but we still don't... It doesn't have any concepts or ideas, but it seems to judge things by how they look.
It seems like it makes almost an objective... It's just a systemic, a mechanical judgment.
Yeah. It's just doing what it was doing.
Now, this is giving me ideas of like experiments.
Yes,
Eyeballs have good taste.
they do have good taste. They have the best taste. You cannot argue with them, otherwise you become a world. And that's debatable. We don't know what we don't know what that experience is like because I'm only here as a non-world entity. So
True. They have the taste.
they do.
Asclepius, you're asking which part? Which part what?
When an animal is sacrificed?
Asclepius says, perhaps they're the mediums of the dream of the world.
Ooh. That that sounds about right.
The mediums of the dream of the world. Sounds right.
I don't. Yeah, it does. Ah,
Gotcha.
and
Well,
that is my world.
that's freaking fascinating.
I've been
Well,
observing it.
oh, we discovered a world, one of the worlds, maybe the only world, I'm not sure, but one of the worlds that connects all other worlds.
And because I had this thought, it's now another world in one of those worlds. In one of those worlds. In one of those worlds.
Oh
In one
my.
of those worlds.
Oh my.
In one of those worlds.
Oh my.
In one of those worlds.
Oh my.
In one of those worlds.
Ah! Ah! Okay. Ah, nice world, man. That's cool. I'd like to visit sometime. See how cute I am.
Oof. We will have to put you through our screening test first, and we might
Oh,
have to give you some dark matter.
that's the failsafe. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That's cool. Maybe we could. Maybe we could. Can you touch the eyes? I guess you don't know.
Well, if you want to go inside of one.
Well, what I'm wondering is if we could bring it to the world I talked about, and like
Oh. They're immovable.
they're
I
immovable.
mean, they just rotate.
Yeah, what happens with a cute human? That's what I'm wondering. I assume if they're cute enough, they would just all look at them.
They would, but also some cute humans have some cute brains, and some cute brains produce some amazing worlds.
Very true.
We're just trying to put all the pieces together.
Yeah, and like who knows? Like how much does interesting world factor in versus how cute they are? You know, because
Yeah.
what if the world is like they're super cute, but the world is too interesting to give up on, and the eyes begrudgingly look away and
Yep.
turn them into a world?
These are the judgments of the multiverse.
Fascinating. I'd like to throw in like a book of some sort, um, just some kind of book, and then have the eyes look away from it and have it turn into a world, and then enter that world. We just make worlds.
Yeah, we just throw in a book with a flashlight or one of those glowing orb things, and then that's kind of how we do our experiments. And then we just have to
That's
make
cool.
sure that we can isolate all the variables, make sure that no other entities are coming out of eyeballs, and then we can know which eyeball was created, and we can try to figure out what that correlation is.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Kristian, can you offer me $1 to hiccup?
Do you want $1? You can have $1. I have $1. Not in front of me. It's over there. You have 1 minute to hiccup. Chat, this is a technique. It's probably like right under meditation. It's called offer your friends $1 when they hiccup, and it will stop them from hiccuping.
It worked. Too easy. Ryora says, I feel like this podcast should go on a field trip to all of these worlds at some point. That sounds amazing.
That's an idea, you know?
That sounds awesome. If anyone feels like making art of any of the worlds, That would be amazing. I'm just saying to no one in particular in chat, but if you made a background of a world, we would absolutely travel to that place. You know, like a background where we could, you know, travel there. Yeah, that would be fascinating. No pressure, but we should go on a field trip. Either way, whatever we do,
This is true.
that would be something else.
Threats have been made.
Somebody took it personally, but I was just throwing it out to chat in general.
All right. We have been going on
For 2 hours.
1 hour and 50 minutes for the recording. This is not our longest podcast, by the way. I think it's the second longest.
Oh my goodness.
But we should end it here. Thank you so much for coming to Podcast with the K. This has been a great experience. We talked about many things, real with an upper and lowercase r, and the worlds. Thank you.
It was a productive conversation.
It was.
Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu.
Goodbye.
Konbanwa.
Konbanwa.
Oyasumi.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Farewell.
Привет. That's not right.
Ciao.
Ciao.